It's been a few weeks since we were last here in the bird room. It has really sprung to life with loads of chicks hatching and growing. We've even got young birds from one of the rarest pairs here. So let's get into it. Beginning with our European greenfinches then, they have been one of the most prolific breeders so far this breeding season. We had 7 pairs at the beginning of the season, and so far we have rung 16 chicks, which is really pleasing, particularly as exhibition birds that are larger and facing multiple different challenges compared to the smaller types of these birds. They have been really successful and fruitful in their breeding. So yeah, 16 chicks rung. We've got 2 up here. They are the oldest chicks. They are about 28 days old, so they're 4 weeks old now. They're looking good. They've already began feeding themselves, which is really pleasing news, because that means that we can start to look to wean them over the next couple of days away from their parents. We've got 3 chicks down here that have fled the nest. We've got another 3. We've got 3 more in the nest down there. We've got 2 little chicks actually being fostered by a pair of canaries as well. And then of course we've got the young birds from our best pair. So overall, the greenfinches have had a fantastic start, which is really pleasing. The quality does appear to be there, so we're going to take a closer look at that now. So what we have right here, and if you can see that, that is a little greenfinch chick. So this chick in particular and its other brother is 25 days old. This is one of 2 chicks from my best pair of birds behind me. So their dad is actually the bird that has done an awful lot of winning for me over the past couple of years. Their father has won, I think it's 23, 24 different awards across multiple specialist shows throughout England, which is really pleasing. And their mother is actually the daughter of the father. And the reason we've done that is because we really need to cement his bloodline in our stud. He's the absolute top quality. He's going to bring quality across the stud, therefore we need to make sure we've really got that good quality. And then what we'll do with the young birds is we'll outcross them when it's next year with their breeding season. But, well, that was one of the chicks. He's just gone and landed down on the floor now, but they look absolutely fantastic. They are the biggest greenfinch chicks I have seen. I mean, literally at 21 days old, they are probably time and a half again against some of the other chicks. They're absolutely massive, and the quality really is impressive. So I'm hopeful that those 2 chicks will make some good show birds for later this year. Our lesser Redpolls have had a fairly good start as well. So here we have 6 pairs, and we also have a quadruple, which is 3 hens and 1 cockbird in a flight cage. And so far they've had an okay start, to be honest with you. They are a bird that I've noticed in recent years at least have always got better the longer the season has gone on, and generally most of the chicks have been produced from around mid-June to the end of July. So we're still getting towards that point. But we have 7 chicks out of the nest so far, which is really pleasing. We actually have 4 from my best pair of Redpolls, which I'm really pleased about. The hen is a hen in particular that was bred last year from one of my best birds to an outcross bird. She is really good quality, and she's with a male bird of equally of decent quality as well. And the 4 chicks are doing really well. They're only 12 days old at the moment. They're even beginning to feed themselves now, so I have noticed them picking up a couple of pinkies and buffaloes off the floor, and they are terrorising their parents, shouting for food, but they look fantastic. We've got 2 more that have literally just jumped the nest today at 10 days old in that nest site, and once again, that is a very good pair of birds, so really quite pleasing with them. And I think the quality appears to be there. One of the things with Redpolls that I've noticed is, you know, you can't tell the full quality of them until they have molted out, and it's really December, January time. However, you can get initial feel for the quality from when they leave the nest. If they have some good markings down the chest and generally good colour, that does indicate that it's probably going to be a decent bird. And then of course they do develop their own little features that hopefully will make them better birds as they age. But they're looking really good so far, and we have got more hens on nests. So we have the quadruple down here. We have 1 chick out the nest. That chick is 20 days old, feeding itself primarily now, for the most part anyway, and it's looking really good. And of the 3 hens in there, 2 of them are already back on eggs. So we have had a successful breeding from there already. All juvenile birds in there, all birds that were bred here last year, no flighted birds, and they're doing well. So I'm hopeful that that will continue, and we will continue to see success with our Redpolls as the others go down. Right now, out of the 9 hens we have, 4 are on eggs, 2 of them are feeding chicks. So I'm quite pleased with that. Every year I slightly tweak my husbandry practices from the previous year, and that's through learning, gaining experience, having done more research on the birds and finding different things out, going and seeing the birds in the wild and understanding what they're doing. And one of the things that I'm really keen on, and I encourage you to do if you keep native birds, you know, native birds, they're hard birds to breed, whatever the species. They are not easy. They are not like a wild type small zebra finch or a canary. There's so many different things with each individual species you have to get right. But a common theme throughout with most of the native birds is feeding insects. I've been doing this now for a good few years, and I've found that the more insects you give, generally the better results you get over the season, whether that be from the parents being in a better breeding condition, whether it be the young birds growing faster and developing quicker because they're getting better food. So alongside the egg food mixes I give, with peas in there, with different vegetables, different supplements, insects is by far one of the best things to give alongside that. They're easily digestible, they're packed full of protein, amino acids, fats, minerals, vitamins. They are so good for the young native birds, and I found that giving them to the Redpolls, giving them to the greenfinches are just a way of really bringing the best and getting the best out of the young birds. So what I give them is a frozen mix. Firstly, that's got pinkies, buffaloes and calciworms in there. Give them a nice little mix of that in some egg food drawers and they love it. But additionally, I do give them some actual proper live options as well, which are things like mealworms, and for the hawfinches, because they're very expensive, waxworms. They are absolutely fantastic. So insects alongside the egg food for the native birds is by far the best way to go and should bring better results. The canaries do bring a bit of a refreshing break from the native birds. Sometimes, you know, the native birds are difficult to breed and keep. They have their own different challenges, and sometimes you just have bad years with them. But the canaries are really something that are generally quite consistent in their performance during the breeding season. We've got 3 pairs of North Dutch frills, of which 2 are young hens, so it's their first time breeding. What we have is 2 youngsters from this pair, 4 youngsters from this pair, and a single youngster from this pair. So if you couldn't guess it correctly, these 2 are the young hens and this is the experienced hens. So that just shows you a little bit of how the success is brought by those experienced birds compared to the young birds. And I'm sure they will additionally catch up, but their youngsters are looking really good. They're about 4 weeks old now, 28 days or so. The parent birds have actually gone back to nest, so inconveniently they did go back to nest on the floor. I put new nest pans in for them and they decided to still go on the floor, so I thought, okay, I'll leave them to it for the moment. Let's make sure that without disturbing everything too much, we get those first round youngsters actually weaned away safely. But they're all looking really good, very pleased with their results, and hopefully something we'll have on the show bench later this year. One of the most challenging species I have here at OC Aviary, and it's a bird that is generally quite underrated, but not a lot of people keep them in aviculture because of the difficulty in breeding them by comparison to other native birds, is the European hawfinch. So a couple of weeks back, the hen began to build her nest, just scraping out in the coconut pan at the back and lining it with a very small amount of coconut fibre. Then she laid 3 eggs. We had 3 eggs in there. Remember last year we had 4 eggs from them. She reared 4 chicks and we ended up losing them over the course of the feeding period between 0 to actually 60 days. But now I can confirm we have got 1 baby Hawfinch. So of the 3 eggs, all 3 were fertile. 2 of them were sadly dead in shell and failed to hatch, but 1 of them has hatched, and that chick is now 5 days old at the nest in the back. The mother is on her own. We've took the male bird out. He's out in an aviary enjoying life in the sun at the moment. So she's here feeding that chick, and the chick is looking really good. So much so that the chick is now ready to be rung. So we'll be using a British Bird Council ring for this. So I think it's time we put the ring on. I'm really hopeful that it is now successful. Obviously the bird has been rung now, so that chick is looking really good. I think he looks quite healthy. He got a full crop when I was taking a look at him as well. So overall, a positive start so far. And I've learnt a lot from last year when we bred them. I think it was wrong to leave her with 4 chicks last year, particularly as it was her first ever round. She'd never bred before. So if I did have more chicks, I might have took them to put on some greenfinches, canaries, or even hand reared them. But as she has 1 chick, I'm happy to leave her with that. And what I'm going to do is just not attempt to wean that chick off until it's much, much older and completely feeding itself on both the insects and the hard seed. I think that might be the best way to go, and well, we'll see, but she might go for a second round like she did later in July. So we'll see what happens, but we'll just keep us fingers crossed that we have a young Hawfinch by the end of the breeding season with us. The bearded Reedlings are a new species for myself this year. This is the first time I've had them properly as a pair, although I have had the odd bird in many years gone by. So what we've had so far with them has been really quite a success story. We built and scaped a lovely aviary for them with a stream. We've got all of the plants in there and it looks fantastic. The birds went to nest. They had 6 eggs. They reared 2 chicks. Now it comes to the point that those chicks were ready to fledge the nest. I made a little bit of an error in judgment, sadly, and it's only something I'm going to learn as I get more experienced with these different species. What I should have done is removed the pond and completely turned the pond off whilst the chicks were jumping the nest. However, what I did instead was just lower the water level until there was about 10 mil of water sat in the tray. Sadly, what happened is when those chicks came to jump the nest, one of them ended up landing in the water clearly in an evening and sadly seems to have passed away from the cold, which was a real shame. It didn't appear to have drowned in that little water. So what I did is make sure that we didn't suffer the same fate with that second chick, turned the pond off, took the pond away and just left them with a small pot of water, because at least this pair do not like to drink out of the fountain drinkers like we have in the bird room. So that was a bit of an error, but we've learnt from it and we'll make sure that that doesn't happen again. So we have 1 chick in there running around on the floor at the moment. It's just under a month old and it's looking really, really good. Then, just as those chicks had jumped the nest, the hen went back and laid 6 more eggs. So she laid 6 more eggs in her second clutch. She sat them for the 11 days and now we have 3 or 4, I'm not quite sure, chicks in the nest site. So we have the second round. We've got a couple of chicks in there. They are 4 to 5 days old, so I'll be looking to ring them in the next day or so, but they look absolutely fantastic. The parents are doing a great job of rearing them now, both the cock and the hen involved heavily in the progress of them. They're eating a lot of live food, so once again, the buffaloes, the pinkies, the calciworms, and of course for these guys, the fruit fly, which is very similar to what they would feed on in the wild. So overall, things are looking really quite positive with the bearded Reedlings. We have some more chicks from them, and I'm just really looking forward to seeing how they progress as those chicks come to fledge in the next couple of weeks. And I do have plenty more exciting stories to share with you from our conservation birds in our twites and our turtle doves, but you'll have to wait for another episode. episode. So if you have enjoyed it today and you'd like to see more from OC Avery, please make sure to subscribe down below, smash the like button, and follow us on other social media, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok for daily updates and behind the scenes footage of all of our birds. So thank you very much for watching. Once again, it's going to be an excellent year and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.